So here's the thing, not every game needs a $1 billion budget in a marketing campaign that eats up half of YouTube. Some of the most unforgettable experiences, they're hiding in the AA and indie corners, quietly blowing minds. This list is handpicked, not churned out by an algorithm. If that sounds like your vibe, maybe hit subscribe.
I'm coming! No! Get back!
A Plague Tale: Innocence. You ever have one of those games that feels like playing a medieval fever dream, where everything is beautiful, tragic, and covered in rats? Welcome to A Plague Tale: Innocence, an emotional stealth adventure from a SOMA studio that kicks off with your home burning, your dog missing, and your little brother being hunted by the Inquisition. So, you know, not a chill afternoon. Set in a plague-ravaged France, the world is equal parts haunting and breathtaking. Fields of wildflowers give way to piles of corpses, and it somehow all feels alive. The story revolves around Amisha and Hugo, a sibling duo who could teach AAA protagonists a thing or two about heart. Gameplay blends stealth, puzzles, and a whole lot of rat dodging. Seriously, there are so many rats, like physics-breaking amounts of them. It's one of those rare games that sticks with you. You come for the visuals, you stay for the heartbreak and rodents.
In 3, if it moves.
Disco Elysium. Ever wanted to solve a murder while blackout drunk, arguing with your necktie, and possibly forgetting your own name? Disco Elysium lets you do exactly that, and somehow it's genius. Developed by ZEOM, this is an RPG that ditches combat in favor of deep, branching dialogue, internal monologues, and wildly philosophical debates with yourself. You play as a washed-up detective in the crumbling city of Revachol, where the air tastes like old regrets and communist leaflets. The art style, like an oil painting that's been left out in the rain. Gorgeous and messy in the best way. The cast is brilliant, from your overworked, underpaid partner, Kim Kitsuragi, to the voices in your head that constantly sabotage you. Every skill you invest in isn't just stat-based. It literally becomes a character in your brain. This game isn't for everyone, but if you like your storytelling raw, your choices messy, and your existential dread dressed in a trench coat, this is unmissable.
Then you should consider seeking medical attention. You can use the
Tomorrow took over.
Ghostrunner. Ghostrunner doesn't ask if you're ready. It throws you off a skyscraper and expects you to land with a katana in one hand and style points in the other. Developed by One More Level, this is first-person cyberpunk parkour meets one-hit kill sword ballet, and it does not care about your feelings. Set in Dharma Tower, a neon-soaked dystopia where everything's broken, including the people, you play as a cybernetic ninja slicing your way up the food chain. The world feels like Blade Runner had a panic attack and decided to speedrun itself. There's no health bar, one hit, you're dead. One mistake, start over. But when it clicks, it's pure flow state magic. Wall runs, grapples, air dashes. You're not just moving, you're gliding through death traps. The story is lean, but layered with AI drama, rebellion, and corporate rot. Think Ghost in the Shell on espresso shots. Fast, brutal, beautiful. It's not a game, it's a high-speed discipline test for your fingers and your pride. Animal Well. Animal Well is the kind of game where you spend 5 minutes admiring a flickering torch, and then the torch blinks back. Developed solo by Billy Basso and published by Big Mode, this pixel art Metroidvania is quiet, mysterious, and weirdly unsettling. Like if Fez in Limbo had a baby raised by PT. You start as a small blob-like thing dropped into a dense, interconnected labyrinth filled with secrets, shadows, and suspiciously passive creatures. No combat, no dialogue, just tools, puzzles, and that constant feeling you're being watched by something off screen. Every corner hides something, a switch, a secret passage, or a bunny that seems wrong. It's not horror, but it taps into that old school curiosity-fueled dread. The kind where you're not sure if you should go deeper, but you do anyway. It's subtle brilliance, a master class in atmosphere that rewards players who explore not with hand-holding, but with eyebrow-raising wait, what moments? If you love uncovering things no one else noticed, this is your rabbit hole. Inscryption. Inscryption is what happens when a haunted escape room and a cursed deck building game gets stuck in a blender, and then the blender starts whispering to you. Developed by Daniel Mullins, yeah, the same brilliant mind behind Pony Island, this genre-bending fever dream starts out as a creepy card game and then keeps evolving into something far weirder. You begin in a candlelit cabin, playing cards against a shadowy figure with glowing eyes and way too much patience. You build decks with squirrel sacrifices, totems, and talking cards that definitely don't have your best interests at heart. But just when you think you figured it out, boom, the entire game morphs. Visually, narratively, mechanically. It breaks its own rules like it wants you to go mad. Inscryption isn't just smart, it's sinister in the most creative way. The less you know going in, the better. Just trust me. Play it, lose, obsess, repeat. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons is one of those rare games that says more with 0 words than most games do with 1,000 lines of dialogue. Developed by Starbreeze and guided by filmmaker Joseph Fares, yeah, the Oscars guy, this is a short story-driven adventure that goes straight for the heart and then stomps on it gently. You control both brothers at the same time, 1 stick per brother. It sounds simple until your hands start disagreeing like divorced parents at a birthday party. But this isn't just a gimmick. It ties directly into the emotional core of the game. The world feels like a watercolor fairy tale dipped in sorrow. You climb cliffs, glide with birds, solve puzzles, all while uncovering a story about loss, love, and growing up way too fast. No combat, no filler, just pure emotional storytelling. And an ending that hits harder the more you think about it. It's not long, but it stays with you. Like a scar or a really good piece of poetry. Katana Zero. Katana Zero doesn't waste your time. You boot it up and bam, you're a sword-wielding assassin with a deadpan stare, a synthwave soundtrack, and more unresolved trauma than a prestige TV protagonist. Developed by ASCIIsoft, this 2D action platformer is fast, brutal, and soaked in neon-drenched noir. Every level plays out like a perfectly choreographed murder ballet. One hit and you're dead, but so's everyone else. You plan your attack, execute it flawlessly, or rewind time and try again. Because yes, your character might also be seeing the future, or hallucinating, or both. The game blends razor-sharp combat with Tarantino-level storytelling. Cutscenes bleed into gameplay, dialogue choices get interrupted, and the whole thing feels like it's about to explode from its own tension. And the soundtrack, pure retro futuristic fire. You will bob your head while committing pixelated war crimes. It's slick, stylish, and smart as hell. Katana Zero is the type of game that doesn't just demand your attention, it steals it, slices it up, and plays it back in slow motion. Kena Bridge of Spirits. At first glance, Kena Bridge of Spirits looks like a lost Pixar movie. All lush forests, glowing spirits, and adorable little puffball creatures called the Rot. But behind the charm is a surprisingly tough action-adventure with real heart and some seriously sharp gameplay. Developed by Ember Lab, this was their first game. Yeah, let that sink in. You play as Kena, a spirit guide helping troubled souls cross over, which often means cleaning up emotional baggage, with a magical staff and some light ass kicking. The world is vibrant and rich, but tinged with melancholy. Temples overgrown, villages abandoned, memories lingering in the air. Combat blends staff combos, parries, archery, and some surprisingly tough bosses. Don't let the Disney vibes fool you. This thing will test your reflexes and patience more than you expect. It's short, sweet, and stunning. And those Rot, they're the kind of sidekicks you'd kill for in real life, if only to watch them wear tiny hats. Risk of Rain 2. You ever blink and suddenly there are 47 enemies, 12 drones, and a boss the size of a house all trying to ruin your day? That's Risk of Rain 2, a third-person roguelike shooter by Hopoo Games that starts chaotic and only ramps up from there. Each run drops you onto alien planets filled with hostile wildlife, ancient ruins, and a loot system that escalates faster than your anxiety. Pick a character, each wildly different, and stack random items that combine in the most broken, beautiful ways. Double jump? Sure. Triple damage? Why not? A ukulele that shocks enemies with lightning? Absolutely. The longer you survive, the harder the game gets, and I mean literally. There's a difficulty meter constantly climbing like it's judging you. It's frantic, fun, and even better with friends. One moment you're scraping by, the next you're a god with goat legs and 5 turrets. No context needed. Deliver Us Mars. Deliver Us Mars is the kind of game that doesn't shout to get your attention. It just quietly asks, hey, what if saving the world meant leaving everything behind? Developed by Kyokin Interactive, this narrative-driven sci-fi adventure is a spiritual sequel to Deliver Us the Moon. And yeah, it's just as atmospheric, just as lonely, and maybe even more personal. You play as Kathy Johansson, an astronaut on a desperate mission to retrieve stolen colony ships, and oh yeah, possibly reconnect with her estranged father, who may or may not be involved in the whole abandoning Earth situation. The gameplay is slower, part exploration, part puzzle solving, and a whole lot of heart searching. It's not flawless, but it feels real, messy, human. If you like your sci-fi drenched in emotion and existential questions, this is your landing zone. American Arcadia. American Arcadia is what happens when 70s optimism meets dystopian surveillance, all wrapped in a reality show you didn't know you were starring in. Developed by Out of the Blue Games, this side-scrolling cinematic puzzler is half escape thriller, half corporate satire, and somehow all vibes. You play as Trevor, a painfully average dude living in a city where everything's perfect because it's fake. Turns out, Arcadia is a live-streamed paradise for viewers outside, and if you're ratings drop, well, let's just say elimination gets a little too literal. The game flips between two perspectives: Trevor's 2.5D platforming and Angela's first-person hacking segments on the outside, helping him escape. The puzzles are clever, the pacing is tight, and the aesthetic, pure Wes Anderson meets Black Mirror. It's stylish, smart, and oddly relevant, especially if you've ever worried your smart fridge is judging you. American Arcadia isn't just a game. It's a jailbreak from perfection. HELLBLADE: SENUA'S Sacrifice. HELLBLADE: SENUA'S Sacrifice isn't just a game, it's a descent, a slow spiraling fall into myth, madness, and mourning. Developed by Ninja Theory, this is a psychological action-adventure wrapped in Norse mythology, but it hits way deeper than that. You play as Senua, a Celtic warrior on a lonely quest into Helheim to rescue the soul of her lover. What makes it unforgettable? Senua doesn't face gods or monsters, not just them anyway. She battles psychosis. Voices echo constantly in her head, warning her, doubting her, lying to her, and they sound terrifyingly real thanks to haunting binaural audio that practically breathes down your neck. The world is soaked in grief. Misty shores, corpse-covered rivers, puzzles hidden in perspective. Combat is minimal, but visceral. Intimate duels that feel like desperate survival rather than power fantasy. It's raw, beautiful, and deeply human. A game that forces you to feel things you didn't expect from an axe and a hallucination. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes is like wandering through a dream where David Lynch and Stanley Kubrick co-designed a puzzle box and then dared you to solve it. Developed by Simogo, Sayonara Wild Hearts, this black and white mystery thriller doesn't just mess with your head, it rents space there and throws a cryptic art exhibit. You play as a woman trapped in a European hotel where time loops, illusions stack, and puzzles pile up like unopened mail. It feels like you're flipping through a noir graphic novel that's been corrupted by surrealism and existential dread. There's no hand-holding, no glowing path, just symbols, riddles, codes, and layers of meaning, all daring you to piece together a story that keeps shifting just out of reach. It's not fast, it's not loud, but it is brilliant. If you like your games dense, stylish, and proudly inscrutable, this is your personal rabbit hole. The Forgotten City. The Forgotten City is what happens when a Skyrim mod gets too ambitious and ends up becoming one of the smartest narrative adventures in recent memory. Developed by Modern Storyteller, this time loop detective game drops you into a hidden Roman city where everyone's calm, polite, and absolutely terrified of triggering the Golden Rule, a supernatural law where if one person sins, everyone dies. Yeah, no pressure. You wake up as a stranger in this idyllic ruin, only to find a ticking moral bomb underneath the marble. Your job? Figure out who's going to break the rule and stop it. When you fail, boom, time loop. Try again armed with new knowledge. It's part murder mystery, part ethical maze, and all incredibly well written. Dialogues feel rich, choices matter, and the ending you get, that's on you. It's like Groundhog Day if it were written by a philosophy major with a torch for Roman architecture. And honestly, it's incredible. Evil West. Evil West is what happens when the Wild West gets dipped in a vat of monster blood and wired up with steampunk tech. Developed by Flying Wild Hog, this third-person action brawler throws subtlety out the saloon window and replaces it with shotgun uppercuts and vampire hordes. It's loud, chunky, and unapologetically old school, in the best way. You play as Jesse Rentier, a cowboy with daddy issues and a lightning-powered gauntlet, working for a secret organization that hunts down supernatural horrors across frontier America. The vibe is Van Helsing meets Doom Eternal with just enough cheesy dialogue to make it feel like a Saturday morning pulp comic with extra gore. Combat, oh, it's meat and potatoes. You punch, blast, and chain combo through demons like it's your part-time job, and the skill tree lets you get absurd fast. Evil West isn't deep, but it knows what it is. It's a throwback thrill ride that hits like a sawed-off shotgun at close range. Hey, quick break. If you've made it this far, either you really love games or you're just trapped in a time loop like the Forgotten City. Either way, consider subscribing. It helps more than you think, and you won't miss out when I inevitably make a video about 15 games that made me cry on purpose. Carry on, brave gamer. SOMA. SOMA isn't here to make you jump. It's here to mess with your soul. Developed by Frictional Games, the minds behind Amnesia, this sci-fi horror masterpiece trades in blood and guts for deep existential panic. Like, what even is consciousness levels of panic? You wake up in an underwater research facility called Pathos 2, but something's very wrong. The walls whisper, machines talk like people, and you, well, you might not be who or what you think you are. There are monsters, sure, but they're not the real horror. The real fear comes from the story, the ideas, the questions it forces you to ask as you drag yourself deeper into its crumbling corridors. Gameplay leans on stealth and exploration, but it's the atmosphere, claustrophobic, quiet, cold, that'll stick with you, like water in your lungs. SOMA doesn't scream. It just looks you in the eye and asks, if your mind lives on in a machine, are you still you?
Shut the door, Cat! Lock it up!
What's happening?
Lock the door!
It's locked! What's going on?
Pentiment. Pentiment is what happens when Obsidian says, let's make a game with no combat, no voice acting, and absolutely all vibes. And somehow, it slaps. Set in 16th century Bavaria, you play as Andreas Mahler, a journeyman artist tangled in murder, politics, and philosophical chaos during the rise of the Reformation. It's a narrative RPG wrapped in a tapestry of hand-drawn manuscripts where every choice echoes through generations. Everything looks like it was pulled straight from the margins of a medieval book. Dialogue fonts even change based on class and education. A noble speaks in fine script, a farmer, scratchy and crude. It's subtle, clever, and weirdly immersive. You'll investigate crimes, ask uncomfortable questions, and constantly doubt yourself because there are no perfect answers, just flawed people trying to make sense of a shifting world. Pentiment doesn't scream for your attention. It whispers, writes it down in ink, and lets time judge you. Cuphead. Cuphead is a kind of game that makes you smile with its art and scream with your soul. Developed by Studio MDHR, this run-and-gun bullet hell looks like a lost 1930s cartoon. Rubber hose limbs, watercolor backdrops, big band bangers. It's gorgeous, it's nostalgic, and it absolutely hates you. You play as Cuphead, or Mugman if you're co-oping your misery, two adorable idiots who made a very bad deal with the devil. Now you're stuck collecting soul contracts from bosses who range from angry vegetables to a literal jazz dancing genie. The fights, pure chaos. Every frame is handcrafted, every pattern ruthless. There's no padding, it's just boss fight after boss fight, each one weirder and meaner than the last. And when you finally do win, oh man, it feels better than therapy. Don't let the cartoons fool you. Cuphead is old school punishment wrapped in Technicolor glory. And yeah, you'll love every second of the suffering.
A great slam and then stop. You're up.
Still Wakes the Deep. Still Wakes the Deep is industrial horror at its finest. Like if The Thing got trapped on an oil rig and decided to take its sweet, slow-burning time. Developed by the Chinese Room, Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, this is a first-person narrative horror game that trades jump scares for atmospheric dread so thick it practically leaks off the screen. You play as Kaz, an offshore worker with a messy past and worse timing, as something unnatural infiltrates the Beira D oil platform. And no, you don't get a gun, or a wrench, or hope. Just your wits, your fear, and a lot of sprinting through claustrophobic corridors as things scream in the dark. The stormy waves, the metal groans, the constant sense that you are being watched. It all builds to a kind of creeping terror that never lets go. If you like your horror soaked in salt, diesel, and existential panic, this is a must play.
Oh, Jesus.
For my performance, I need to be in ship shape if I'm going to impress my... Well, what do you think? I gave it my all.
My Time at Sandrock. After all the monsters, mind games, and existential dread, My Time at Sandrock is the perfect palate cleanser. Developed by Pythia Games, it's a cozy life sim where you're not slaying dragons or solving time loops. You're fixing up a dusty desert town with elbow grease, charm, and a whole lot of scrap metal. As the new builder in Sandrock, your job is simple. Make stuff. Big stuff, little stuff, weird contraptions with fans and pipes, whatever the townsfolk need to keep life running in this post-apocalyptic Wild West flavored community. You'll farm, mine, raise animals, build relationships, and get way too invested in your workshop layout. The cast is lovable, the routines are addictive, and the world feels like a hug in game form. It's not just about building machines, it's about building a home. And honestly, after surviving horror, time loops, and card-based psychological torment, you've earned this one. And there you have it, 20 brilliant AA and indie games that deserve your time, attention, and probably a little emotional damage. Whether you're in it for the art, the challenge, or the vibes, these games punch way above their weight. If you found something new to play, drop a like, maybe a sub, or yell at me in the comments. And hey, part 2 might already be cooking.